Today, we unravel the chilling story of Melanie van der Meer, a young mother whose dream vacation turned into a nightmare. As we delve into a web of deceit, love, and vengeance, we ask, what drives a person to commit the ultimate betrayal in a tropical paradise? Stay tuned as we uncover the dark secrets behind her untimely death. What hidden truths lie beneath the seemingly perfect life of Melanie and Peter van der Meer? How did a romantic getaway in Cancun turn into a sinister plot of murder? What crucial evidence did the detectives uncover that pointed to Melanie's killer? Who was the mysterious Australian backpacker, and what role did he play in this tragedy? In this video, we delve into a chilling story of betrayal and murder set against the backdrop of a tropical paradise. This is the case of Melanie van der Meer, a woman whose life was tragically cut short while on vacation with her husband. As we unravel the layers of deceit, love, and vengeance, we ask the question, what drives a person to commit the ultimate betrayal? In the heart of America's breadbasket, Omaha, Nebraska, Melanie van der Meer, a 34-year-old bank employee, lived a life marked by ambition and familial love. A graduate of Creighton University, she had majored in finance, a field she navigated with precision and passion. As a mother to 3-month-old Addison and wife to Peter van der Meer, Melanie's life was a tapestry of modern motherhood and career aspirations. Melanie's colleagues at the First National Bank of Omaha knew her as a diligent worker, often staying late to ensure her clients' needs were met. Her LinkedIn profile, a relatively new phenomenon in June of 2005, showcased endorsements for her financial acumen and dedication. At home, Melanie was the nucleus of her family, her relationship with her husband Peter appearing to be a testament to partnership and mutual support, at least on the surface. Her family, including her sister Emily and parents John and Diane, were fixtures in her life. They often gathered for Sunday dinners, a tradition that Melanie cherished. These intimate gatherings were a blend of old and new, where stories from the past mingled with discussions of the latest episode of Desperate Housewives, a show Melanie enjoyed for its portrayal of complex women. Melanie's dreams extended beyond the confines of her immediate world. She envisioned a future where her daughter would have opportunities she had worked hard to secure. Only days before her death, Melanie had excitedly spoken of plans to enroll Addison in the prestigious Brownell Talbot School, ensuring a head start for her education. As Melanie and Peter boarded their flight to Cancun, a couple's only trip to celebrate their second marriage anniversary, her thoughts were a mix of anticipation for the sandy beaches she'd seen in Travel and Leisure magazine and a well-deserved break from the rigors of new parenthood. Little did she know that this journey to paradise would be her last. On June 15, 2005, as the early morning sun cast a golden hue over the white sands of Cancun, a grim discovery disrupted the serene ambience of this tropical haven. At approximately 6:30 a.m., with the resort town slowly stirring to life, Maria Hernandez, an 82-year-old local known for her daily beachcombing rituals, stumbled upon a scene that would haunt the peaceful shores and make headlines far beyond the Yucatan Peninsula. The body of Melanie van der Meer, still clad in a J.Crew bikini, a popular brand featured in the summer catalogs of that year, was found lifeless, embraced by the gentle yet relentless waves of the Gulf of Mexico. Maria, who had lived through the transformation of Cancun from a sleepy fishing village to a bustling tourist hotspot, was no stranger to the occasional aftermath of nighttime revelries left on the beach. However, the sight of Melanie's body was an inconceivable departure from the norm. The local authorities were notified promptly, thanks to a nearby tourist who lent Maria his Nokia cell phone, a device that had become a staple in the connectivity of the era. The police arrived on the scene with a sense of urgency, a response time reflecting the gravity of the situation and the potential impact on Cancun's image as a safe and exotic getaway frequently featured in the pages of Condé Nast Traveler. The weather, typically idyllic for this time of year, seemed to mourn with a somber sky and a gentle breeze that offered no solace to the first responders. The beach, usually adorned with sun loungers and vibrant umbrellas, was now cordoned off with yellow tape, standing in stark contrast to the picturesque setting that had drawn Melanie and countless others to its shores. Maria, with decades of life etched into her weathered face, displayed a stoic calmness that belied the shock of her discovery. Her statement to the police was clear and concise, providing the initial narrative to what would become a complex and heart-wrenching investigation into the untimely death of a young mother and wife. The arrival of the Quintana Roo police at the now secluded section of Cancun's coastline was swift, a testament to the Mexican authorities' commitment to maintaining the resort's image as depicted in glossy brochures, a sun-soaked retreat from the daily grind. Detectives Alejandro Ruiz and Sofia Blanco, seasoned officers with years of experience between them, were met with a scene that juxtaposed the natural beauty of the locale with a chilling narrative. The date was June 15, 2005, a time when the world's eyes were often fixed on the developments of the Iraq War broadcasted by CNN and other 24-hour news channels. Yet here, the only conflict was between the tranquility of the resort town and the violence suggested by the discovery at its shore. The weather, a balmy 82 degrees with a light breeze, seemed incongruous with the gravity of the crime scene. Detective Ruiz, with his stern demeanor and sharp eye for detail, noted the absence of struggle. The sand around Melanie's body was undisturbed, save for the impressions left by Maria Hernandez's early morning discovery. Detective Blanco, known for her empathy and keen intuition, observed the victim's peaceful expression, a stark contrast to the brutality of her demise. The crime scene was devoid of the expected chaos that accompanies violence. There was no blood, no signs of a conventional struggle. The detective surmised that Melanie had been drowned, a hypothesis that would later be confirmed by the medical examiner. The Gulf waters had cleansed any immediate evidence, leaving the investigators to rely on forensic methods that were becoming increasingly sophisticated, even as shows like CSI, Crime Scene Investigation, popularized them to the public. The police meticulously documented the scene, utilizing digital cameras, a relatively new addition to their investigative toolkit, to capture the area in detail. They collected samples of sand and water near the body, hoping that the burgeoning field of forensic science might yield microscopic clues. The absence of Melanie's personal effects suggested a robbery or an attempt to conceal her identity. Complicating the case further, as the sun climbed higher and cast a harsh light on the grim task at hand, the detectives knew that the answers they sought might be as elusive as the motives behind this tragic end to a vacation that promised relaxation and renewal. As the investigation into Melanie Vandermeer's untimely death unfolded, the focus turned to her husband, Peter Vandermeer, a 35-year-old financial advisor. Amidst the swaying palms and sun-soaked beaches of Cancun, a stark contrast to the couple's quiet life in Omaha, Nebraska, Peter found himself at the center of a murder inquiry. With a reputation for ambition and a seemingly unwavering commitment to his family, Peter's life was under intense scrutiny. Peter's communications were being combed through by local authorities. Detectives sifted through call logs and messages, searching for inconsistencies in his account of their vacation, which coincided with the 2005 MTV Movie Awards buzz, an event Melanie had been excited to discuss during their trip. During the interrogation held within the stark walls of the Cancun Police Department, Peter's composure was as fluctuating as the stock market he navigated for a living. He spoke of their plans to visit the renowned Chichen Itza ruins and how they had dined at the Hard Rock Café Cancun just the night before Melanie's disappearance. Yet, when pressed about rumors of marital strife, his demeanor shifted. His hands, which had calmly folded a napkin from the café into neat squares on the table, now clenched into fists. The detectives noted Peter's agitation when they inquired about the couple's financial situation, which was reportedly strained due to his recent investment in the real estate boom, considered precarious by some after the 2005 housing market predictions. Peter vehemently denied any discord, attributing any perceived tension to the normal stress of parenting a new baby and Melanie's ambition to ascend the corporate ladder at her bank. However, the police had uncovered evidence of several heated exchanges between Peter and Melanie, captured by the hotel security cameras. These exchanges painted a picture of a relationship fraying at the edges despite the idyllic setting. The investigation was further complicated by the discovery of a substantial life insurance policy taken out on Melanie, with Peter as the sole beneficiary, a common trope in true crime tales that raised eyebrows among the investigators. As the interrogation stretched into the evening, the detectives were aware that the burden of proof lay heavy on their shoulders. Cancun, a city pulsating with the rhythm of nightlife and the whispers of Caribbean winds, was now the backdrop of a narrative that had shifted from romantic getaway to sinister plot. The investigation into Melanie Vandermeer's death took a dramatic turn with the questioning of Tommy Walker, a 23-year-old Australian backpacker whose nomadic lifestyle had led him to the white sands of Cancun. His rugged charm and the allure of adventure had captivated Melanie, resulting in a clandestine affair that now placed him in the crosshairs of a murder investigation. Tommy's arrival in Cancun had been part of a broader itinerary that included the world's most exotic locales, a journey he meticulously documented on his blog, a popular medium in the burgeoning age of social media. His digital footprint, including check-ins at Cancun's Coco Bongo on the night of June 14, provided the police with a timeline of his movements. The interrogation took place against the backdrop of a series of benefit concerts aimed at combating global poverty, mirroring the stark contrast between Tommy's free-spirited existence and the gravity of the situation at hand. His defense was as unwavering as the global resolve to make poverty history. Detectives probed Tommy about his relationship with Melanie, questioning whether jealousy might have driven him to an act of violence. The Australian, sporting a billabong tank top and a sunburnt demeanor, maintained his innocence. He recounted their last meeting, insisting it was nothing more than a farewell before he continued his travels to the next destination on his list, which included the recently opened Disneyland Hong Kong. Despite his assertions of innocence, the police were skeptical. The affair had been a poorly kept secret, whispers of which had even reached the ears of the staff at the Moon Palace Resort where the Vandermeers were staying. Tommy's passport and belongings were seized, revealing a postcard addressed to Melanie. The message on the back was unfinished and the tone one of longing. As the interrogation concluded, Tommy's fate hung in the balance, much like the Space Shuttle Discovery, which was grounded due to fuel sensor issues, delaying its much-anticipated return to flight. The investigators were left to ponder whether Tommy Walker's desire for freedom had been eclipsed by a darker impulse. On June 17, as Cancun's tourist throngs reveled in the summer heat, a breakthrough emerged in the Vandermeer case. A local vendor, sifting through the sands to set up his beachside souvenir stand, unearthed Melanie's missing purse. The discovery, mere meters from the Moon Palace Resort, reignited the investigation with newfound urgency. The sandy handbag, a Coach leather tote and a recent anniversary gift from Peter, contained more than the usual vacationer essentials. Among the items were Melanie's hotel key card, a half-empty bottle of banana boat sunscreen, and a torn piece of paper that bore an enigmatic message written in what appeared to be Melanie's own hand. The cryptic note, partially smeared by sunscreen, seemed to be an unfinished sentence or a hastily scribbled thought. It read, "Meet me where the sun whispers goodbye," a phrase that detectives speculated could point to a clandestine meeting on the beach, perhaps with her lover Tommy or another unknown individual. The contents of the purse were meticulously catalogued and analyzed. Forensic technicians dusted for fingerprints, while digital specialists attempted to extract any latent data from the key card, which might shed light on her final movements, a technique growing in sophistication. The case had all the hallmarks of a sensational story, a picturesque setting, a young mother's tragic end, and a narrative rife with potential jealousy and betrayal. As the summer sun set on another day in paradise, the investigation into Melanie Vandermeer's death had taken a significant turn. The authorities hoped the purse would be a game-changer in uncovering the truth behind the tragedy. The serene shores of Cancun, usually a refuge for sunseekers, became the backdrop for a complex investigation as attention shifted to Maria Hernandez, the 82-year-old local, who first stumbled upon Melanie Vandermeer's body. Maria, a fixture on the beach, supported her family through what tourists left behind, a life story in stark contrast to the carefree vacationers surrounding her. Detectives delved into Maria's background, uncovering a life marked by resilience and hardship. Her daily routine, as unchanging as the tides, involved combing the beach each morning, a practice she had maintained for decades. This consistency, coupled with her discovery of the body, prompted authorities to consider her a person of interest. During her questioning, which took place in a room that felt as cold and clinical as the air-conditioned lobbies of the nearby luxury resorts, Maria maintained a stoic composure. Her account was detailed and precise, reminiscent of the factual reporting style seen in the pages of National Geographic, which once featured an article on the resilience of the elderly. Investigators probed for a motive, speculating on a theft gone wrong. However, Maria's history was devoid of any criminal entanglements, much like the pristine beaches she walked were free of the seaweed that often washed ashore elsewhere. Her hands, weathered from years of labor, showed no signs of a struggle, and her alibi for the time of Melanie's disappearance was corroborated by other locals. As the interrogation unfolded, Maria, despite the investigators' initial suspicions, emerged more as a witness than a perpetrator. The detectives concluded their session with Maria, her account leaving them with more questions than answers. The pursuit of justice for Melanie Vandermeer continued, the case unfolding like the plot of a John Grisham novel, each chapter revealing new complexities. The investigation into Melanie Vandermeer's death culminated in a revelation that would shock the tranquil community of Cancun. The evidence, meticulously gathered and analyzed by local law enforcement, pointed to one individual, Peter Vandermeer, the victim's husband. The man who had presented himself as a grieving spouse was unmasked as the architect of a premeditated murder. Peter's facade began to crumble as detectives pieced together a timeline that contradicted his initial statements. Hotel surveillance footage, time-stamped and unambiguous in its storytelling, showed Peter's movements on the night of Melanie's disappearance. The footage, as revealing as the exposes featured in Time magazine, contradicted his alibi. Further incriminating evidence emerged from the couple's electronic devices. Emails retrieved from Melanie's BlackBerry, a device that had become synonymous with business communications, revealed a marriage fraught with tension and conflict. Peter's own laptop provided a digital trail that painted a picture of a man driven by desperation and greed. A sleek Dell Inspiron, advertised as the perfect tool for the on-the-go professional, contained deleted files recovered by forensic experts. These files included internet searches for life insurance payouts and the effects of saltwater drowning. The case against Peter Vandermeer was becoming as clear as the high-definition images broadcasted by a newly launched HD channel. The motive was a tapestry of betrayal, humiliation, and financial gain. Peter had learned of Melanie's affair through a message on her Nokia phone, a model praised for its reliability, and the revelation had ignited a murderous plan fueled by jealousy and rage. In the days leading up to the murder, Peter had been seen purchasing a large life insurance policy on Melanie, naming himself as the sole beneficiary. This policy, coupled with the couple's recent enrollment in an American Express travel insurance plan, painted a grim picture of premeditation. As the local community absorbed the news, the idyllic image of Cancun was temporarily overshadowed by a narrative of domestic tragedy. The case against Peter Vandermeer was airtight, his arrest imminent, and the facade of the perfect family holiday was shattered forever. As the tropical storm clouds gathered over Cancun's horizon on June 20, a different tempest was unfolding within the confines of the local police station. Peter Vandermeer, once the bereaved husband, was apprehended by authorities in connection with the murder of his wife Melanie. The arrest marked a sober resolution to a case that had gripped the seaside city. The evidence against Peter had mounted steadily, with the meticulous work of the Cancun detectives mirroring the precision of a Swiss watch, a symbol of the same luxury Peter aspired to provide for his family. The detectives had constructed a detailed timeline of Melanie's final hours, corroborated by hotel surveillance footage and witness testimonies, which now pointed irrefutably to Peter's involvement. His apprehension occurred discreetly, away from the prying lenses of tourist digital cameras, which were becoming increasingly prevalent, much like the Canon EOS 350D that had been released earlier that year. Peter's demeanor during the arrest was one of disbelief. He appeared as disoriented as someone waking from a dream, his reality irrevocably altered. The news of Peter's arrest spread quickly, traveling through the channels of local media with fervor. The case had all the elements of a primetime drama, and public interest was piqued. Melanie's family, who had flown in from Nebraska, a state known for its rolling plains rather than sandy beaches, was present at the station. The mix of emotions was palpable, relief at the progress of the investigation intertwined with the profound grief of loss. The Vandermeer family had been regular attendees at the Heartland Church back home, seeking solace in their faith, which was now tested in the most tragic of circumstances. As Peter was escorted to a holding cell, the storm outside unleashed its fury on Cancun, the sound of rain on the police station roof providing a grim soundtrack to the unfolding events. The arrest marked the beginning of a new chapter in the case, one that would lead to the judicial system where evidence would be weighed and a verdict rendered. The trial of Peter Vandermeer, set against the backdrop of a Cancun summer, commenced with the weight of expectation. The evidence laid out before the court was as compelling as the latest investigative series gracing the cover of Rolling Stone. Hotel surveillance footage, email correspondences, and the damning life insurance policy painted a portrait of a man driven to the brink by infidelity and financial desire. Defense attorney Miguel Torres, known for his advocacy as robust as the defense strategies outlined in John Grisham's legal thrillers, pleaded for leniency. He highlighted Peter's lack of criminal history and his role as a father, drawing a parallel to the public sympathy for Martha Stewart, who had recently returned to the limelight after her own legal battles. The courtroom, with its charged atmosphere, could have been the set of a courtroom drama series, a stark contrast to the usual tranquility of the seaside town. Melanie's family, a constant presence in the gallery, clung to each other, their emotions raw and palpable. As the trial unfolded, the prosecution methodically dismantled Peter's defense. They presented the timeline of events, showing Peter's calculated moves leading up to Melanie's murder. The jury was shown footage of Peter purchasing the life insurance policy and forensic evidence from his laptop revealing incriminating searches. Each piece of evidence was like a puzzle piece fitting neatly into place, creating a clear picture of premeditated murder. The defense's attempts to cast doubt on the evidence were met with skepticism. Miguel Torres argued that the affair and financial strain had driven Peter to a moment of irrationality, a temporary lapse in judgment. He painted Peter as a man overwhelmed by his circumstances, not a cold-blooded killer. However, the prosecution's narrative of a man meticulously planning his wife's murder for financial gain proved too strong. The media coverage of the trial was relentless, with headlines capturing the public's fascination with the case. The tropical paradise of Cancun was now synonymous with betrayal and murder. Melanie's colleagues from the First National Bank of Omaha and former classmates from Creighton University followed the trial closely, their memories of Melanie adding a personal dimension to the proceedings. The jury's deliberation was brief, reflecting the strength of the evidence presented. On the morning of August 10, the verdict was delivered, guilty of first-degree murder. The courtroom erupted in a mix of relief and sorrow. Melanie's family embraced, tears flowing freely as they found a semblance of closure. Peter Vandermeer, once a respected financial advisor, now faced a future behind bars. His sentencing, scheduled for the following month, promised to bring further media attention. The trial had concluded, but the story of Melanie's life and tragic death continued to resonate, a reminder of the fragility of trust and the dark depths of human emotion. As the sun set over Cancun, casting long shadows on the beach, the final chapter of Melanie Vandermeer's story closed. The serene shores that had witnessed her final moments now stood as silent sentinels to the end of a saga marked by love, betrayal, and ultimate justice. The legacy of the case would linger, a cautionary tale etched into the annals of true crime history. Hey, true crime case solvers! Interested in more real-life murder mysteries? Be sure to like and subscribe to our channel. Do you have any thoughts about this case or have a case of your own you'd like us to investigate? Leave us a comment. Until then, stay safe, true crime case solvers.